All right. How do you set up your Jira board for a project? Uh, let's look at what happened on setting up your own project board. So let's say you come into a company and they ask you, uh, they give you a project, you have a whole new team and you need to create your own board. If the board is already existing, most often you will not have other projects there. But if there are already other projects going on, what is going to happen is that you would not have, you will just have all of these different projects and you can be able to create your own project. Now, what you do is you go under project. Someone is having some background noise. Okay, we go under a project and then we can click on create. All right, if I go under this project and I click on create project, I can create my own project board. So you see different options. You can create a project board, which is just for bug tracking, right? When we say bug tracking are more like defects that are coming into your work, and you want to make sure that all of these defects are eliminated. So we can create a box that's just, we want to look at what are all the different bugs that are there, who is working on what, and you want to track it to see that all the bugs are completed. You can create a Scrum bot. A Scrum bot simply gives you the possibility to be able to plan sprint after sprint and to be able to complete a circle and come into a circle. You see the way it's organized, it means you can do it in circle. A Kanban bot doesn't permit you to start and close the sprint, start and close the sprint, start and close the sprint. It's just a way we organize work, and it just moves to done. When it moves to done, you don't have to close the sprint. You just go each quickly. You're feeding an end to a project. So let's kind of create a Scrum project, which is definitely what a lot of people will be working on. You already have templates that are in here. You see issue types. We want to see epics, we want to see story, we want to see box, we want to see tags, we want to see subtags. This is what someone was asking. So I click on create. It's going to ask me, is it going to be a team-based or a company managed project? Now, if you are creating, it's going to be a team-based project because you're creating for your team. Now, let's call this project learning Scrum. Okay, this is a project we want to create. Now, when you create a project, the project key is going to automatically pull up. You see right here? This is automatic. You can, except you want to rename it, but the project key most often picks up the first letter of the name, project learning Scrum. And then it's a team managed project. What's going to happen? We'll create the project. So when we create a project, automatically it takes us to our dashboard. You see? So within this dashboard, you see it has like a default template to do in progress done. So if you are the admin, immediately after creating, you can be able to create your own board. I can add another here. I can put QA. I want to add QA. I can put ready for acceptance. I can add the different options that are necessary for my project. Remember, I just said not every project is going to be the same. There are some projects that you might not need QA. There are some projects you need to understand your project. Now, I can reorder this. How do I reorder this? It's simply by dragging. Done should be the last. So make sure done is the rightmost column. You see right here, it's already advising me that I need to make sure that done is the most right column. So I can reorder this in any way that I want. And this is what's going to be my flow, right? Now, If I reorder this, here we don't have a to-do list yet. My board is completely blank. My backlog has no item in it. Now, if I start creating project right here, I can create, just give me a second. I'm gonna be right back. All right, sorry about that interruption. So we can get going. Okay, so where was I? We were here. So I was saying that when we created a bot, it's empty, right? Now we need to start adding our items. So this is our project learning Scrum. Now, one of the stuff you need to understand is that within the backlog environment, epics and futures are synonyms, right? Epics and future, you're not going to really have any distinction. Some in a safe environment, they prioritize futures, and then they say, oh, let's break these futures into epics. But then we can also say, oh, these are epics, and then epics can also contain sub futures on that. So it more or less, it's not clear what is the priority between epics and future, but for the sake of configuring and getting work done, we always kind of get epics to be futures. Now, learning Scrum. Now let's do epics. What are the major stuff that we need to do? See, we start creating here. So if I click on create, I'm not creating a story. I want to create an epic. You see right here. I'm picking and creating an epic. So the first one is, this is my first feature, which is what you need to learn, certification. Right. Take SAFe 5.1 certification. Right. This is our epic. We're not going to go into details and all that stuff. Do we want to assign the epic to somebody? If let's say I was in the support team, I could assign these epics to maybe any member of the PO that I want them to take over to it. Do we want to label it to a project, specific project? Do we want to have a start and an end date? Okay. And also, do we have any attachments or markups that we want to illustrate and other stuff? Now, do we want to link it to blocks and other stuff? It depends. So I'm creating an epic. Now, when you create an epic, one thing you realize is that your epic doesn't go in a backlog. Why? Because this is the way it's configured. Epics are not like part of your backlog item. So our first epic is about what? It's about us being able to get Scrum certification. Now, what is the to-do list, which is going to be us creating stories, having a discussion on what are the to-do lists if you want to learn Scrum. You can use the chat box, just use the chat box and put your comment. If you have a question, type it in the comment box. If I'm teaching and you have a question, type it in the comment box. I'm going to respond to that. So what are the to-do lists? So the to-do list is what we call the stories. Now we're going to create a story. So we can create a story on, let's say that I'm looking for a different story. Okay, yeah, search for certification school. Okay, perfect. That's a story. Yes. Yeah, the Scrum Master create epics and story. If you're the product owner of your company, you need to do that. If not, you only be the facilitator, but you need to know how to do it. Okay. The first is that we need to search for a certification school. We know how to write stories, right? Stories like as an aspiring Scrum Master, I want to be able to get a certification training school that provide hands-on practical experience so that I can learn how to, I can be well prepared for the job market. Okay, which means that, so we already, the who, the what, and the why, we kind of just make sure we capture it in there. So we'll make sure that we capture every stuff in there. Now, we can go ahead and have acceptance criteria. We might also have a separate column for acceptance criteria. We might configure that, but we can also just under the description, we can have acceptance criteria. Acceptance criteria is what help us to know if we've completed what we need to complete. So if we go under our acceptance criteria, what do we, when we see that school, what make us know that we want, what make us know that it's going to be a better fit for us? So we can say that we want this school to be able to hold practical lesson, right? We wanted to hold practical lesson. We wanted to have live demo. Just creating a list of items. We wanted to have public testimonial. We wanted to have a certified coach. So those are stuff that you want to, when you're looking for this code, you want to be able to cross-check. Now, if you know the person, that's most often when we're creating, we don't assign, we just create the stories. And now you want to also, if you have a sprint you want to attach it to, then if you want only to show in only members that are in this project to see, you can put it there. You want to do an estimate, you can also put it there. But then there should be an option. This is not very, there also should be an option for you to link it to an epic. Right, I'm going to show you on how that's created. But immediately you create that, you realize that your backlog start growing. This is a story. Now you can create also, let's create a subtags. We can create now a tag, not a story. So whether it's a tag or a story, it's created the same way. So a tag can be write down 5 schools listed as providing practical training. All right. So if that's a tax, the tax simply means that we don't need to go ahead and write in acceptance criteria. Immediately we're done with it. We're done with it. So tags are easy to create, and we can be able to assign it to someone. We can be able to assign it to a sprint. We can also be able to link it to an issue. We can also link it to an issue as well. So, and then we can, so it still go under your backlog. What's the differentiation? The differentiation is on the color. If we do create it's a bug, let's change this one to a bug. And let's say clean out all training centers, or take out, let's say take out all training center without public testimonial from the list. Why do I say from the list? Because it's already what we have created. So a bug simply means that we're fixing what we don't want. All right. So I name that. So you see, this also add on your backlog. The difference is that you can see that this is a bug, or this is a tax, or this is it. Now, when it comes to estimation, you realize that with all of them, we could assign a story point. We could be able to label it to a sprint. We could assign it to someone else, and we could estimate what is the effort of work that we need to complete all of this. If we kind of look at how this also, all right, perfect. I see quite some addition coming in there. Now, let me kind of take you to array environment. This is a more complex setting, right? I kind of show you there because that's where you need to practice. You need to practice how to do this. Don't wait until the day you have a job and then you say, oh, now I need to practice. Get your own board and just create your own stories. It doesn't have to be, I just create project, learn Scrum, something that you can easily figure out. Remember, the key role, the most important stuff that's important for you is to understand why we need to create stuff like that. Now, if I click here, you see, I can choose a project that I want it to create under, right? I can be able to choose a project. I can choose, is this a story? Is this an epic? Is this a test that you want to run? So you see, different board has different options. Now, I say this is the story. I say, what's the summary of the story? Now, in companies, you have the person you want to report to. The person you want to report to is the person who created the story, right? You put a description, you put acceptance criteria, then you even have the priority. Is it a high priority? Is it a medium priority? Now you have, if you have versions, you might be linked to a release this. Okay, this is where we link it to release. Normally, every the story should be linked to release. And this is where you, the Scrum Master, you can go on your Jira query and search stories that are linked to release 4.2. And now you can now start tracking when is release 4.29 happening. And now you can be able to know exactly where, how to be able to hug the story. Do you want to link to, is it child of, parent of? Let's say it's a parent of which story? It's a split to, it's a part of. You see all of this. You can link it. If this is, if the bug is part of a story, you can link it. If it's a child of, then you can find the issue number. If I have the issue number, you see right here, different issue number are pointing. I should just type the issue number in here. Let's say EP 349. Then it's going to pull out, and I'm going to link that story to that epic. So I can be able to link that up, right? Now I can be able to create a label if the label is necessary. There are different levels, phase 1, phase 2. It's going to depend on what is important. You assign it to, then you link it to an epic. Remember, we're creating different epics, right? You link it to an epic, and then you can also link it to a sprint. So you see how this one is configured to have like really different options that you can consider. Now let me look at a different board and see if they have a different configuration from this one. Now if we go to this board and we click on create a story, let's see if we have the same thing. We have the project, we have the issue type. Now we have a summary, priority. You see their own priority come right up here, right? On the other board, the priority was down. Now we have reporter, we have component. What component do we want to? This component is more like the future. It's more like the epics. Is it what now? Description, and it doesn't have space for accepting criteria. Version label, assignee, epic link, spring link, spring. We have app version. We have benefit for, we have device to, you see, estimated size, impact of change, product team comment, remaining hours, version. So resolution comment and all of that. So all of this bot can be configured in so many ways. And you can also come here, configure, and you can turn up some of the stuff that you don't want to see on your bot. But these are the stuff that you should be checking and experimenting with all your bot, and you'll be able to see that all of them are different. Now, if we go back to our bot, you realize that we already start creating different stories, and we can be able to link all of these stories to different epics. But what really matters, the reason why we want to link story to epics is simply to be able for you to track epic and releases, for you as a Scrum Master to track when you're doing your product roadmap, which this bot is not configured to create a roadmap. Okay, it's configured to create a roadmap. Okay, right here, someone was asking about a product roadmap. Now we have here the different epics, right? I can pick up this epic and I say, okay, this epic is going to run up to maybe August. You see this? I can still move it and say, oh, this epic is going to get across all of this. See, for all the different epics, if you go to your product roadmap, you can be. So let's create another epics. We'll look at certification training, right? We'll look at I'm trying to pick another epics certification exam. Now, if we look at certification exam, that's another epic. We can also look at As another epic, we can also look in at certification studies. So under training, now this I can say, oh, this is gonna cut from year to year. And I pick this one. If I want to, what need to be done? I can, you see, I can create subtasks on here, what need to be done. So immediately I click on each of one, it's giving me this. I can be able to kind of shift overlap on what are the timeline and all of that. So the roadmap should be able to give you this. You see, I can also do in quarters, I can do in months, I can do in days, I can do all of this. So all of these, you're gonna have, if you don't have access to these, then you definitely, oh, my screen is not moving. Oh, okay. So I was showing all of these on one side. All right. Okay, this is what I was trying to explain about the product roadmap. I hope we all saw this though. Okay, we're gonna continue. We're gonna do more of this in the next session, right? Our time box is almost exhausted, and I have another meeting coming up in the next 10 minutes. So let's see what questions we have. We can do in next 10 minutes. It was quite a lot to learn, but I guess we all did learn something from you.